Good morning, guys, or good afternoon, whether you're joining me from the present or the future. Welcome back to another FutureFight Vanguard video. Today is Friday the 5th, so happy 4th of July to those of you who celebrated it yesterday. Americans, I guess. Yes, happy 4th of July, belated. Today we're going to be talking about the second round of the V-EB07 decks that I was doing for my FutureFight. So I'm not doing a second round for the Link Joker one, for those of you who are asking, because I was trying to build this kind of like control Link Joker non-specific archetype deck, but it wasn't really working out. So no matter what I did to try to get it to work, it wouldn't work out. So I'm only doing a second round for Kagero and for Nova Grappler because they have actual archetypes after them, being Blade Master and Beast Deity. But we're gonna get right into the Beast Deity FutureFight today. If you guys haven't already, be sure to subscribe down below, click the bell button so that you don't have to miss any future content from us. Also, be sure to check out and follow our Facebook. That's where I post all the updates that are going on to the channel and so on and so forth. Also, if you guys are interested in anime, animation, or video games, definitely check out our second channel down below, Let's Plays Animes. The link is down in the description. And check out our Patreon if you guys are interested in any more Cardfight Empire exclusive content. But with that being said, let's get right into the video here. So today we're going to be talking about, of course, the standard Beast Deity deck. Of course, there's no G-Zone because this is not premium. If you guys want to catch a premium version of this build, definitely be sure to go check out the Patreon. I'll be posting a premium post this set build on the Patreon for FutureFight, if you guys are interested in that. But let's get started. But we run 10 grade 3s, so a lot of grade 3s, but it's kind of always been Nova Grappler's thing, is like we want to run more offensive units to pressure our opponent out of the game, and it just ends up working out very nicely for us. So let's start with our first grade 3. We run 4 Ultra Beast Deity Illuminal Dragon. Now this is the new RRR from the new set. So this card is actually really good. I would argue it's probably the best grade 3 that Nova Grappler has gotten in general and standard, outside of Spinning Valiant, maybe. But it's pretty good. It's one of my favorite grade 3s out of Nova Grappler. Let's talk about its 2 abilities. So it has First, it has an auto Vanguard ability that's once per turn, so that at the end of the battle that your rearguard attacked and does not hit, counterblast 1, stand that unit, and it gets plus 10,000 power until the end of the turn, and then attack your opponent's Vanguard with it. So what this means is that this offers a unique opportunity for you to do like a different attacking pattern than you usually do with this type of deck, because if you use a Eclair Dragon, you do all your main phase attacks first, and then you go to battle phase, and then you have a chance of restanding stuff with like a Eclair Dragon skill, kick typhoon skill, etc. But with Illuminal Dragon, it's actually very different, and Illuminal Dragon actually really likes when you run crits in the deck, because what it allows is that you can attack with your Vanguard first. And let's say that your opponent's at like 4 damage, right? You can attack with your Vanguard first, threatening them with the, if you check a crit, they die. So you basically attack with your Vanguard first, and then they guard it, and then you can put all your crits that you check onto your rearguard. That's the biggest. And then basically if you swing with your rearguard and they block it, you get to use Illuminal to have it restand and get plus 10 again. So like for stuff like, let's say Maximum Riser, when it's on an Accel circle, it's 32 by itself. If you check a crit and you put it on Maximum Riser, it's 42. And then if you use Illuminal, they have to block a 42 with a crit and then a 52 with a crit in order to not die. So that's a lot of pressure on your opponent's hand, especially in standard. You reach some ridiculous numbers, even like rivaling Melody numbers. So a lot of clans can't really block that, which is why Melody is so strong. But this deck will also be able to do stuff like that as well. But the secondary ability of Illuminal Dragon is Vanguard Rearguard Circle once per turn. When your other unit's attack hits, then this unit gets plus 15,000 power. Again, makes it really good to attack with your Vanguard or Rearguards first, because if you attack with your Rearguard first and they let it hit, this card becomes 27k by itself. So it also becomes a threat, more of a threat for them to block your Vanguard as well. But you can also place this card on Rearguard Circle. So if your Vanguard, let's say that your Vanguard attacks and you have a Vanguard Illuminal Dragon and a Rearguard Illuminal Dragon. If your Vanguard attacks and your Vanguard hits, then you get to give the other Illuminal Dragon plus plus 15k, which means it's 27. Then if you checked any triggers, you get to swing at them for like 37, and then if you use Vanguard Illuminal skill to restand it, then it's 47. So this deck runs through hand really fast, hand being your opponent's hand and their resources, so very important to keep that in mind. Our backup grade 3 for the deck is going to be 4 Beast Deity Azure Dragon. Obviously from the previous set, Azure Dragon is still a really good card, just not as good as Illuminal in my opinion. But it has 2 Vanguard abilities. The first one is when placed on the Vanguard circle, you can counterboss 1, draw a card, call a card from your hand to your rear guard, and then attack your opponent's Vanguard with that unit. And if the attack did not hit, and at the end of the battle, stand that unit. So a little worse than Illuminal Dragon, but still really good to put some pressure on your opponent. Whenever you use skills like this, you basically just get a free damage out of your opponent, because your opponent will most likely always take it because they don't want you to get that restand. So skills like Azure Dragon and skills like Eclair Dragon are always going to be really good for that. Then Azure Dragon has a second Vanguard ability that says when it attacks, counterboss 1 and stand one of your rear guards. So obviously this is used in combination with the first ability. You use the first ability to call a card, your opponent will take the hit unless they can't, and then you swing at them with your Vanguard, and then you counterboss 1 to restand that same unit that attacked because it's probably on an Accel circle. So pretty good there. Then we have 2 Maximum Riser, like I talked about before, just hits really big numbers with all the multi-attacking that you're doing in this deck. And then also when it's not boosted and attacks a Vanguard, it gets 10k. So when you play it on the rearguard circle, the regular rearguard circle, you don't have to play a booster, which saves you some guard in your hand. But if you play it on the Accel circle, it just becomes a really big beater that doesn't even need a booster, or can't have a booster, but you don't have to commit as much when you play this card on the Accel circle. Then moving into our grade 2s, we have 4 Brutal Jack. So Brutal Jack is also from the previous set. Really good card, a big swinger, and that's why we just didn't take it out of the deck. But it has a few abilities. So first one is Vanguard Rearguard Circle. During your turn, this unit gets plus 10,000 power. So during your turn, it is a 19k base on your Vanguard Circle and your Rearguard Circle. Then it has a Rearguard ability that says this unit cannot stand during the stand phase. So that actually works out really well with like Scarlet Bird. Because since it can't stand, like let's say you have 2 Brutal Jacks on the field, that makes your Scarlet Bird live when you play it to the board, so that's really good. But also, if you don't have a Scarlet Bird, you can also just like rest 2 rear guards and stand this unit, which also makes Scarlet Bird live as well. So very important to use your skills to work around Brutal Jack and get your cards live and running. Then we run 4 Stylish Hustler. This is actually a card that we ran in the hero deck and is mainly used in the hero deck, but its skill is just really good, and it's too good to pass up in my opinion to not be running in this deck. Which its skill is Vanguard Rearguard. When your other rearguard is retired by the ability of your opponent's card, Soul Blast 1 and return one of those cards to your hand. So this makes the matchup against control like Kagero, Shadow Paladin, even sometimes Royals, like not as bad, because basically whenever your rearguard gets sniped or something like that from an ability, you can just Soul Blast 1 and return it to your hand. Even if your opponent PBDs you, which is Phantom Blaster Dragon from Shadow Paladin, they retire 3 of your units at once. Once you retire 3 of your units, you can get back any of those 3 as long as they were not Stylish Hustler, the one that you're using the skill of. If you have 2 Stylish Hustlers on the board, you can actually just Soul Blast 3 to get back both Stylish Hustlers and the third card that you lost as well. So very good. And then it becomes a great beat stick as well, because when it attacks, this unit gets plus 3,000 power for each card each card that's in your damage zone. So if you have 5 damage, it gets 15k power, turning itself into a 24k beat stick. Really good. Moving on, we have 2 Kick Typhoon. Sorry about that. It has a Vanguard and Rearguard ability. When placed, if this unit is on Vanguard Circle or an additional Rearguard Circle, meaning an Accel Circle, then one of your units gets plus 5,000 power. So this card is really good. The first ability is solid because it allows you to adjust your numbers. So if you're playing against Force, like if some stuff naturally wouldn't hit their 13k base Vanguard, you can adjust those numbers by 5k by a whole power column so that they can hit or that they're hitting for even bigger. And then the Rearguard ability is once per turn as well. It says when this unit attacks, if all your front row have a Rearguard, including your Accel circles, and then you can counterboss 1, stand one of your other Rearguards. So this card becomes, if you guys are familiar with Victor, it becomes a Golshachi or I'm forgetting what that other card is called, the other Extreme Battler that is Counterblast 1 restand a card. But that card becomes one of those, and it's just really, really good to have a on-attack restander in Standard. So Kick is really good, but we only run it at 2 because it's not as valuable as Stylish Hustler and Brutal Jack in my opinion. Moving on from that, we have 2 Beast Deity Eclair Dragon rounding out the grade 2 lineup. Eclair Dragon is a new card from this set that says, when placed during your main phase, if you have a grade 3 Vanguard with Beast Deity in its name, counterboss 1 and discard a card, this unit gets plus 3000 power, and then you swing at your opponent's Vanguard with it. And if the attack did not hit, stand this unit. So this card is very important because it allows you to do stuff like play Azure Dragon, use the skill, call something else, attack, and then you can play this card from your hand, use the skill, attack, and then possibly restand if it doesn't hit. This makes this deck really, really good when you go first because your opponent will only be at a max 10k Vanguard, so you're able to use skills like Eclair Dragon just free. Going against Force and going first is always really, really good. But if you use it with Illuminal as well, Illuminal can just restand it during the main phase, so really, really good as well. Then going to our grade 1 lineup, we have 4 Beast Deity Grants Dragon. Now, this card is actually a grade 1, which means that it's ideal for boosting, but I actually don't think that this card's purpose is to be ideal for boosting. Like, I think it's a good attacker, so that's because of its ability, so let's talk about it. So, rear guards once per turn. When your other unit attacks, if you have a grade 3 Vanguard with Beast Deity in its name, you can Soul Blast 1 and stand this unit. So, very, very important that it's a Soul Blast and not a Counter Blast, because so many things in this deck Counter Blast that you don't want another card. We like literally wouldn't run this card if it cost a Counter Blast, but costing a Soul Blast is completely different because it only has to compete with Stylish Hustler if you even use it, and Scarlet Bird for that Soul Blast. And then when you keep rewriting, you'll keep getting Soul, so you'll keep being able to use Grants Dragon as well to apply pressure onto your opponent. So it gives you a grade 1 that's a good attacker as well. Then we have 4 Beast Deity Scarlet Bird. Scarlet Bird's rear guard ability is when placed during your main phase, Soul Blast 1, stand all of your units. And then if you stand 2 or more units and the Beast Deity White Tiger, which is the starter, is in your soul, then you can draw a card. So again, works very well with Brutal Jack, and really that's it. But Brutal Jack, Eclair Dragon, and any card that you call off of Azure, assuming that your opponent took Eclair Dragon and Azure and that it didn't restand. But yeah, really good. Then rounding out our grade 1 lineup, we run 3 Drill the Duel. So what Drill the Duel does is when it boosts, you can discard a card from your hand until the end of the turn when your opponent would call a card from hand to guard circle. By the attack that it was boosted by this attack, he or she must call 2 or more at the same time. And it counts this battle. So basically, what that means is that whenever this card boosts anything, I really like this card as a Vanguard booster because it makes it so that your opponent can't just PG Vanguard and have that be, you know, the end of the day. Or, you know, mostly your most threatening rear guards, in my opinion, are not on your regular rear guard circles that can be boosted. They are actually on your Accel circles. So that's why I just really like Drill the Duel as a Vanguard booster. And since it discards a card, you do want to be careful about when you use it. Like, don't just willy-nilly use it every single time that you can. But at the same time, when they're at 5 damage and stuff like that, like having to drop 2 or more cards all the time is like just so good. It brings a little bit of the hero deck into this deck, incorporates it just a smidge. Going on to our grade 0s, we have Beast Deity White Tiger as our starter. Very important actually that you run this starter and not Battle Riser, because obviously it works really well with Scarlet Bird and it actually mentions it in its skills, so you don't want to run any other starter besides that one. But then we also have 4 Red Lightning, 4 Shining Ladies for a total of 8 crit, and 4 Twin Blader for our PG draws, and 4 Wall Boy for our heals. So yeah, that we're running 8 crit, 4 draw, and 4 heal. And with that being said, we're gonna get right into the games here. So game 1, we're playing against Kagero. Perfect example. We started off with a Stylish Hustler in our hand too, so we're able to showcase a little bit of that. Unfortunately, I think we're gonna have to ride Stylish. Yeah, so we do ride Stylish, which is actually really good because now that we have a Stylish on our rearguard circle, like you guys see, he just retired my Brutal Jack and I was able to Soul Blast and bring it back. So that's really good. We no guarded his Vanguard, we checked to heal, and he decides to discard and go for it again, and then we check a heal again. So pretty lucky on our parts. We attack for 18 with Stylish, and then he takes it. We attack for 19. He guards it. We use the skill to restand Brutal Jack, and we check a crit which makes him have to guard. So he goes into the end, which is honestly not that smart in my opinion, because if we survive this, like the nature of the end is that he just dies. So we do check some damage triggers, and then we go in. He basically only has 4 cards in his hand, so there's no possible way that he can survive this turn. He does 6 damage heal, but even with a 6 damage heal, he cannot survive after attacking with Maximum Riser and Stylish Hustler together. So very, very good. And as you guys can see, like, we had a bunch of grade 3s in our hand, so we probably would have died, but with a regular hand, with this amount of cards in hand, it would have been very, very defensive and very good. Moving on to Beast Deity Game 2 here. We're playing against Kaguro again. The same person, actually. He just wanted a rematch. So he goes first. He checks a draw trigger. We check a heal. Going back down in damage, he does ride Berserk Dragon. And we ride Kick Kick Typhoon. This time we don't really have much of a rush going on, so we decide not to rush. And then he attacks with Dragonic Overlord this time and gets a crit, which is actually very detrimental to us. But then we take all the damage and we actually hit a heal. So then we double crit him during our turn, which is only fair, right? Because he did the same thing to us. And then he rides the end. He goes into his same kind of kill turn. And then he checks a heal, goes down 1. And then he swings for 53. I no guard that one, taking a damage and healing 1. And then he attacks for 53, and we take the 5th damage. Since he went down to 4 damage, it's more debatable whether we can kill him or not here. But he does block both of our rear guard attacks, and he no guards, and we check a crit when he blocks the Vanguard, because he basically realized that he has a 3 on Vanguard Circle, a 3 on rear guard circle. Even when we attack with 12, he has to either depend on the 1 to pass or that I won't check a critical trigger, because if he guards with that heal, which is the only card that he could have guarded with, then we could have put it on Scarlet Bird and ended the game regardless. So very, very important there. And then our Beast Deity Game 3, we're actually playing against the hero deck, which is pretty interesting. Our opponent rides the 9K, which doesn't matter to us because we're just godlike and we check a crit. He does check a heal though, which is really good for him. And we check a draw trigger on defensive. So we're able to ride Brutal Jack, call Stylish Hustler. We check another crit. He checks another heal. And then he rides and checks double front. So that's insane. And then we end up taking all that damage, just all that free damage that we took. We're actually kind of scared because once we put him to 4 damage, like, I wanted to try to kill him here, but we did check a crit and a draw, so we were able to end the game there. If not, it would have been super dangerous for us because we would have been at 5 damage, and he would have just used Spinning Valiant skill, and we would have not had enough cards to guard there. So the only chance that I had was to try to go after him and try to end him. I know a lot of people would have tried to attack his rear guards, but I believe in that scenario, that would have been the wrong move. So I just went straight after his Vanguard in hopes to kill him, and if not, I would have died. So yeah, that was Beast Deity Game 3. I hope you guys enjoyed the FutureFight Vanguard video for the Beast Deity deck profile. Once again, if you guys want to check out the premium version of this deck, head over to the Patreon, check that out. But with that being said, this has been Josh from Cardfight Empire, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace, guys.